I thought our friendship was always strong until it wasn't.
Season 2 is about the no.
It wasn't easy to have that conversation either. It was a relief.
Yeah.
But if you are true friends like you say you are,
which we
absolutely definitely are, you're gonna have to have these conversations.
Many of you have asked us, well, what actually happened? We tuned into some teasers here and there about something that happened between us, and we're here to spill the tea.
Hey, it's Talia
and Karen here. We're two best friends telling our story without unnecessary entertainment. Just the straight truth.
No smoke, just mirrors. We talk reflection, relationships, and the rigor of knowing your truest self.
Welcome, everyone, to Season 2. Woo! This is NSJM, No Smoke, Just Mirrors, and we welcome you with all of our arms open, hearts open to Season 2 of this pod.
I know.
I'm so proud of us.
Already.
I know. I can't believe it. It's been a whirlwind. We hope you all love the bonus episode that we left for you last week, speaking about Argentina. And I honestly hope to do those bonus episodes more. That was all her idea. So let's just give Tal credit for that.
Thank you.
All right, that's it. So,
cut it short.
Anywho, we really enjoy having content for you all, but of course, this content doesn't go unnoticed. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now officially YouTube. So if you all are interested, keep watching the content, and we'll be sure to bring it real.
I love.
Now, straight up, because we all had some good self-discovery happening on Season 1, Season 2 is about the no. Okay? It's about relationships, friendships, situationships. It's about everything in between. Whatever.
Any ship.
This is all about relationships between coworkers, spouses, you name it, we have it. And we're really coming in with brand new content for you all. And today we're going to lead with something that we really find close to home, which is us. I think this is our episode, if you will. And I think for a long time, many of you have asked us, well, what actually happened? We tuned into some teasers here and there about something that happened between us, and we're here to spill the tea.
So it's time.
That's it. It's time. We need to get this off our chest, get this off the table, because shit got real and we all need to talk about it.
We've been teasing it for a whole season now, so might as well let's talk it out.
That's right.
Let's talk it out.
Now, for today, our season first episode is friendship a verse or a song? And this will all make sense in a few. But essentially what we want to do is sort of unpack our friendship. Also, we're matching, so, cue that. But we're really trying to just pursue our friendship much further. We've spoken about this in many episodes already, of course, with little teasers here and there. But essentially, we just want to sort of unpack what happened, when it happened, how it happened, and what is going to happen after this. So Tal, go ahead and lead us with the mantra of the week.
With the mantra of the week, it's true friendships can survive anything, even time and distance too.
How do you feel about that?
I gotta say, it takes a minute for it to be like that. It's not all at once.
Yeah.
This is not, I met her yesterday, she's gonna be there for me in distance and time as well. It doesn't work that way. This is a progress. You have to work your way into having that strong bond and friendship to withhold time and distance. So that's my initial thought. What do you think?
I think you're right, but then I also think there's like a certain spark that happens. So like me and Tal have been besties since we were 6. She says 5, I say 6. This is a common discrepancy this entire time that we've been friends. But, truth be told, there is some sort of like connection that happens in that we get along really well. Somehow we mush together and we call it a day.
We sure do.
So a lot of it is, yes, time and commitment and loyalty, if you will. But the other part is just really having fun and like you getting to know someone that you actually like and not someone that you don't. I'm just going to leave it at that. So why don't we just start off by really setting the foundation of what constitutes of being a good friend? So like, if you could define what are like your standards of friendship, what would that be?
I think my standards of friendship have to be 1, self-awareness, 2, loyalty, 3, I guess if you're and I've said this a couple of pods already, like morals. I feel like morals have to align.
Mm-hmm. Like general principles of life.
Just general principles. Just be a good person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's just start off there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you know, if you believe in girl code.
Oh, we spoke about that at some
even
point.
bro code. Not for nothing, because I know men have their own codes as well. I think those are the basics. That's just like... And also, when you're going through things, have somebody there for you that wants to be there for you, not just uses you. I think it takes time to find that out in a quality of a person. You don't find that out right away.
Yeah, that's true.
But it takes a minute. But roughly, that's exactly what I'm kind of looking for in a friend as a base.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, it's about being present. Now, I accept friends for who they are. There is no judgment in that. If you're the long distance friend, A-okay. If you're the friend like Tal, who we talk one and all times of the day, even if it's just checking in, it is what it is, right? Like different friends work different ways. But definitely being present in the capacity that you can is something that I always really cherish. I think me too, your morals kind of have to align with mine. If we, not in that you need to have everything similar, but rather in
Same
that
page.
You need to have like core guidelines of life that match mine. Not 100%, but at least like a good 70. Like we may not necessarily think the same way, and actually Tal and I are quite different, but I think in general, like you and I just work.
We do.
We mesh, you know?
I mean, what can I say? Even though we don't think the same, we're very much...
No, we're very different.
Yeah, I know. Opposites do attract, so it's okay.
I know.
Hi.
I married my husband.
Which is basically me.
He's totally opposite. Tall in the male version. But yeah, absolutely.
That's
I think
a good thing, P.
Yeah, I don't know. He's in the background. He's trying not to listen, but you know, whatever.
He's reading.
Yeah. But good friends really make a good combination of two people, or even more if you have a group of friends. Like we very much had a group of friends when we were in elementary school. I then had a group of friends in high school. So did you. Like subjectively, things have lessened because you start really thinking about core values like loyalty and affection and presence. I think has been like the number one rule for both of us now that we're adults. So a lot of it has been like, how can you show up for me in a way that you can, or the way that makes sense? You know what I mean? For Tal, it's every day, right? Like I get an 8 a.m. phone call when she's coming out of her gym. And she's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. I'm on the computer again today at 8 a.m. And she's like, well, I'm walking here. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that. Like she's much more adventurous in her mornings. But even if it's the routine, you know what I mean? It's just the way that she likes to engage. And I'm just, you know, I'm there to pick up the phone.
But we do have great conversations, though.
Yeah, at all times of the day.
That's so true. And it's
Doesn't
funny
matter
because
what
my
time
favorite is when P or anybody else says, oh, you still talking to her? Like, why you guys are still talking? Didn't you guys talk last night? Yeah. Yesterday morning? Yeah, I know. We still have a lot of shit to say.
Why do girls have a lot to tell each other?
I don't know.
I was watching this reel actually today about this girl who like is remember I think I shared it too. This girl who's like brushing her teeth, taking a shit, like just talking, and then you're just muting each other. And I'm like, if that's not me and T,
that is so true.
At this point, it's gotten to that point. But I'm like, listen, home. We're in our 30s. Who gives a shit
at this point? I mean,
just mute me, and then when you're done, unmute.
But
me.
you're right there,
right?
As long as you're right there, you hear me? Okay.
Right.
And just keep it going.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
I forget, I love it.
But also, like, for a long time, I think it also just depends on how we communicate. So, like, Tal is not the texter. Tal is not the person who will FaceTime you either. She's a, give me an audio call. You don't FaceTime.
I don't FaceTime with everybody. Oh, that's a given.
Is that too intimate?
That's another level of intimate.
Yeah, we don't FaceTime.
We don't, but we do sometimes.
We do sometimes.
We
if
do
it's
sometimes.
if it's necessary. But like talking is just words.
Yeah, but I've only done it like with you. I've done it like with my mom or like my friend Michelle. Other than that, no.
Yeah.
I don't.
You can be selective. I used to FaceTime a lot with my mom, and then afterwards I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah. No.
But my family are like texters. So
Yeah, I don't do text.
we text all the time. We don't call each other. Like I call my mom, and that's about it. I don't call anybody else. My dad,
really,
but
why? I don't know what it is. I think it's just that human interaction that I'm just like, let me hear your voice.
yeah.
Because the minute you text me, I'm like, this bitch is clearly not doing nothing.
So here's my rule of thumb, right? And this is before we get into it or anything like that. But if you're texting someone and you're lazy, because I am the queen of lazy, just hit like voice to text. Just hit the microphone. And you can just talk, which is what I do because I'm lazy to type, and I'll just acknowledge that right up front. Talk, and it'll just record everything that you're saying on text. So
no,
it's quite easy. No, she just likes calling.
I like to talk.
Your call log must be like Karen, mom, Karen.
Home.
Yeah, home, whatever. Anyway, who
I love
cares?
to talk. Fuck it.
But you're right. I think the standards of a friendship really come through in different facets. And we kind of spoke about this when we were talking about growing and how you change with time and how your morals align quite differently in every season of you, right? So a lot of it was when we were in teenagers, you know, things were different. We didn't give a shit about loyalty to a certain degree. With others. With us, we did, right?
With
because
us, we
did.
With us, we did.
But with other people, I'm just like, yeah, I don't really mind because I have my bestie. You know what I mean? So a lot of it was just, you're my friend, but she's my best friend. And that was it.
And it was funny because even when we were younger, making that distinguish of like, you're my friend and you're my best friend was also something very major. Like,
people got pissed.
Oh, yeah. If I called you my BFF.
Let's just call them out. People got pissed.
If you were my BFF, it was just like, that's it. She's the main bitch. But then if you were just a friend, you're just a nobody.
I don't know about it.
Not a nobody, like acquaintance.
That's fucked up.
I'm an asshole.
But you're right. I mean, there is definitely a leveling up that happens. I just don't know if it happens at a certain point.
I don't know. I gotta say,
I think it just happens naturally.
it has to happen naturally. But I feel like a lot of people step up when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
I think that's where you start realizing that strengthens the bond the more when things go wrong in your life.
Yeah.
Or when things go right.
Or it may strengthen, but it also just may like crumble.
Absolutely.
So it's like one or the other, right?
And it's okay for those times to happen. You just kind of have to navigate and be aware of your surrounding once again and the people around you to see which way it'll go, left or right. And it's always a blessing in disguise no matter what.
That's so true.
So, you know, a lot of the things that we've gone through when we were younger, we had each other's back. The same way, you know, our childhood was not easy to navigate, but we were always there for you. I knew that when every time I was going through it at home, I knew where to run to. 93rd. Like, I would go there. We would literally sit there, and I would just like...
Ball.
Absolutely. But I felt safe with you.
Yeah.
And I felt safe at that time when I really needed the support. And those are the moments that, personally, for me, I will never forget, because it was the lowest point sometimes in my life. Not the lowest, but it was definitely a hard moment to accept.
Yeah.
And just having you there sitting in the mud with me,
just listening to,
was everything. You didn't judge me. You didn't kick me out. Nothing. You literally sat there and just hold my hand and just hear me cry.
Callada.
That's it. And that's what a friend needs to do when shit hits the fan. So.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. And, you know, speaking about that, what do you think has been, like, the moment, or is there a moment of when you felt like our bond really strengthened? And do you happen to know when it was?
Okay, so...
Because it's, like, more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
Wait, how many years have we been friends?
27.
Okay.
27, bitch.
Okay. Why do you have to say it like that?
Because it's just 27.
We're 27. We should stick to that. We should stick to that. We're not in our 30s. We're 27. This right here.
The good thing is that we don't even look.
I don't. I'm gonna age really young.
Yeah, facts. 27. But so oddly enough, I thought our friendship was always strong until it wasn't. So when your ass
I was so
broke up with me, what's that?
Let's call it what it is. I did.
She broke up with me.
We're past it. Okay.
We're past it. We're past it. No, I'm kidding. We're past it. Once you broke up with me, I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was that bad. Not meaning like what happened. Obviously that was bad, but I'm saying like our friendship. I didn't understand why it had to get to that point. That you couldn't have a conversation with me, that you were feeling some type of way. But decided just to
like cut things
off and just leaving without saying a word. Basically, you just literally walk out the door and close the door behind you. And I never understood that. And I always was just like, I never thought it was this bad. Was I not seeing something? Was I not? Like, I didn't understand it, you know? And it was very hard for me to connect that. And I was just like, how do you just throw somebody out of your life like that? And that's something that I still have trouble connecting. But, you know, at that moment, there was really not much I can do. Don't get me wrong. It hurt like a fucking ton of bricks. That's a given. But the best thing I was able to do at that moment was to send, I think, a very nice text.
We're going to get to what that means.
A very nice text to just
say au revoir.
Yeah, because again, I think a model for me as well is just, I need to know where I stand with you just to see if I want to put my energy in it. Now, since I didn't know where I stood with you at that moment and your actions already showed me where I stood at that moment, I just felt that I had to return the favor and let you know where you stand with me from this moment on.
That's a good approach.
And that's
honestly a logical approach.
I mean, that was the best way I could do it. And again, at that moment, I'm just like,
the fuck?
I'm fucking pissed. But at the same time, I still had to take the high road and accept it. And I didn't really think, now that I think about it, that was pretty fucking accepting. Because I could have gone the road rage bad bitch
You
way.
could have shown up at my crib. I could
have shown up and I could have been plop, plop, plop. And then pew, pew, pew. And then fucking just
throw me confetti.
100% with a pop champagne.
That's an inside joke.
And exactly. Like, I could have easily have done that, keyed someone's car. Like, I would have done that. But I didn't, actually. It was odd. No, I didn't even do that. Now that I think about it, I really did take the high road.
So what I'm hearing is that you're saying when I broke up with you is when our friendship strengthened to a certain degree because you were able to accept it and move forward? I'm just trying to I'm missing the point.
That's where I realized it wasn't strengthened. But when we got back together 4 years later, we were stronger than ever.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, now I feel very confident because I feel like the illusion I had before was very different when I didn't know what was going on. And then once that happened and you just abruptly left, is where I had to put my ducks in a row and be like, oh, okay, well, there's things I'm gonna have to change. Again, giving my own self-feedback to be a better friend because I didn't want this to happen to me again. I just didn't. So I think that was the beginning of strengthening our bond, believe it or not. Because without that fallout, we would not be where we are today.
I agree.
And
I definitely agree.
At the end of the day, I think it had to happen. We had to break the vase in order for us to put it back together, and this time it's stronger.
Yeah.
So that's the best moment I can think about.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I just thought about it right now.
I feel like you just took off a shit ton of weight off your shoulders.
I did because I didn't realize until talking it out, and this is why I gotta talk shit out because I didn't come with that conclusion for a minute.
But there's one thing that's true, and it's something that I always tell Tal about, and it's that the more you can talk about something, the more you let it go.
Yeah.
That's like my one rule of thumb with her, because a lot of times her and I are actually so fixated on the problem, and this is a problem, and how can I fix it? I didn't fix it. When am I going to fix it? How am I going to fix it? And it's like, your method of processing only happens when you're able to talk about things in a logical manner.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm very process worthy, and we spoke about this also in season 1, but essentially what you want to always do is acknowledge the actions, acknowledge the effort, and acknowledge that the feelings need to stay there. Like, you are much past it, we're much past it, and yes, it did make us stronger, but it was also done for a reason, right? So there's always reason behind actions. I, on the other hand, wasn't even thinking about that, but I'll just tell you my answer.
What is your answer?
I actually think one of the moments where we felt most strengthened was when we both were separated. And I don't mean that separation. I mean the separation of like you going to a different high school and me going to a different high school. Why? Because that was the first time you and I were detached from the hip. And we still made a conscious effort to go to each other's schools, to hang out. Like, that was really when, even at a very young age, we were able to determine, hey, you're my best friend, period. I don't care who comes along the way. You're my bestie, Ija, you know? And we were only like 13, 14? 13, 14-ish.
I started, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that lasted for 4 years, even into when you went to college.
Yeah.
I actually never went with you to college. I would always go and drop you off, because then I couldn't go in the building, if you remember. But I would always go and drop you off, pick you up, this and that. But the interaction obviously wasn't the same. But I was still confident in that we were besties and nothing would tear this apart unless it had to be something extreme.
Likewise.
Yeah. But, you know, consciously speaking, when you're in your 20s, and I think when you embark in new relationships, whether they're situationships or relationships or new friendships, you are very sensitive to what is being said around you. And it doesn't matter from who it is, especially if it's like your family, your close friends, you know, people who really are near and dear to you. So a lot of what happened was I wasn't okay with what was being said. And it really was just a trigger that I needed, perhaps from what was happening elsewhere. And I'm like, I'm cutting this shit off right here. Like, if there's one thing that I knew is that the person who I was with at the time, who's now my husband, I just wasn't down with that. And she knows very well, and I say she meaning Tal, she knows very well that if I'm not down with you, I just cut it off. I don't care who you are. And I think for a long time, maybe you thought you were the exception, and you then found out that you weren't, right? And it's just because it was hurtful at the time. I'm not going to justify and say it wasn't, or that I was out of line. It was hurtful.
If it hurts, it hurts.
And that was it. But I think you and I were so codependent on each other to the point where, like, we would hang out with the same people. We would go party with the same people. We would talk about the same people. It was too, like, up in my ass. And vice versa, because we would do the same with your friends. We would go hang out with your friends and such. But it was so, like, far up our assholes that we were like, yeah, no. I'm like, what conversation can happen? So you imagine, hypothetically speaking, if we would have had a conversation, you would have never been accepting of what I said. Please just admit it. Because we were in a different mind space.
Again,
no.
Sure.
Just yes or no.
I don't know.
I totally know you. If I know you in your early 20s, bitch, I know that you would have been like, excuse me?
Maybe you would have been my exception, but you know what?
Perhaps
at that moment, I probably wasn't that open-minded.
I happen to know you, Tal, better than you think you know yourself. And I can assure you that wouldn't have been the case. And that's fine, because we were just in much younger mindsets. So once I knew that wasn't okay, I knew exactly what I had to do. And yes, to a certain degree, things were premeditated, but I'm not the impulsive type. So what Talia was explaining before is actually quite true. Like, the old Talia would show up at my doorstep, throw me confetti in the face for some odd reason, and then leave. You know, like, she would make her statement and be out. But always making sure that I knew where I stood with her. right? Very true in your character. And I think to a certain degree you still are that way,
Very
just
much.
different, right? Now you're all about opening dialogue and like having a conversation of what's wrong and how can we fix this, and that's great. But when you were in your 20s, that wasn't the case. In the same way that it wasn't the case for me, right? Like I couldn't sit there and talk to you in your face about, I don't like that you did 1, 2, 3. I would never be able to do that. 1, because I would probably cry. 2, because I would then probably say, why are we fighting? And then things don't get fixed. Things were not getting fixed. And I just kept letting it pile up until at some point I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. Right? It's not the best approach.
It's not the best approach, but it's valid, and I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And at the same time,
we know that now.
We know that now, but at the same time, I think at that moment, I was just not aware of what was going on.
Yeah, but like, why would you? Because we never had that openness.
Exactly.
As much as we were besties, we never had that openness. And like, we would sit down and talk about our problems. We would sit down and talk about your problems with people. We would sit down and talk about my problems with people, but we would never sit down and talk about this.
You're right, because personally, I never thought there was. So that could be very naive of me at the moment.
Oh, that's a good point.
And you know, I really didn't think that was everything, because I know that at the end of the day, we'll make it work, and that was always
always worked.
It always worked
at some point. Yeah.
So I've always had that mentality. That's why when you say with high school that you strength, I understand what you mean by that. But as personally for me, I was like, no, she's my best friend. That's it, point blank. There's no doubt.
There wasn't doubt. I think it was just a moment of, I know we're going to separate our paths. And I was like, I went to school in Jamaica, Queens. And then you went to school in Manhattan. Like, it was 2 different worlds I could have easily just fell through. Yes, I had all the confidence in that we would still be friends. But honestly, theoretically speaking, you had your own besties at your school. I had my own bestie. So there could have been chances for us not to continue this friendship, but it wasn't the case, right? And that's what I mean by strengthen. Because even though we were polar opposites at the time, and you had like different interests, you got into your different phases of music. I stayed true to myself.
Just say it.
She was an emo.
Just say it. Because I know she wants to just blurt it out.
So Tala used to wear, she used to be Miss Raccoon.
Oh, fuck.
That's fucked up. No. But she used to have these friends who were like all emo, whatever. It was a phase back then, like Simple Plan Me Up, you know.
First of all, Green Day all day.
Simple Plan, Green Day.
Green Day all day.
What was it? Who else was?
It was mostly Green Day.
Yeah, you were in. No, but it was more than Green Day. That was when you just started going like screamo. It was borderline
30
screamo.
Seconds to Mars. There was a lot. My Chemical Romance.
I stuck to my ghetto-ness.
She stay a thought. I'm kidding.
I was never a thought, okay? But I stuck to my ghetto phase, and whatever. It is what it is. You loved it. But you know, it was very much, and you get influenced by different things, right? Like different music choices, different crowds. And Tal has always been the person who has a million friends. Like Tal has her emo friends, and she has her throwback friends, and she has her, I don't know, her design friends. Like you just are very much about grouping yourself into cliques. I'm like, I need my core people, and I'm going to stick to them, and I'm going to leech onto them. It's just such a different approach, right? Where you're more social in that way, and I knew that I had you, but I think in general I was like, wow, like she's literally, we're not spending every moment of every day together, and that was really different. Right. It really was, you know, to a certain degree. And then fast forward to like college, even worse, right? Like I went to college, then I dropped out, you kept going to college, you graduated, I then returned to college many years later. Like your lives could drift so much, and what I'm saying is we didn't let it drift because of current events, right? And that's what I mean by strengthen.
Okay, I agree.
Thank you. Point made. But yeah, you know, and vice versa. I think the other side of that coin is maybe speaking about when you had some doubts. If you ever had any doubts.
I never had any
She
doubts.
was blind this whole time.
Completely blindsided. I really didn't have any doubts between us. I just knew that
I didn't either. Sorry.
we had our strengths, and I know we had some ups and downs, but that happens in every fucking relationship. So I didn't really think it was just like
I don't think we had
Yeah.
a series of low moments. I think it was just one low moment that just hit the fan, and that was
yes,
it.
and that's why for us not to overcome that moment, it was very hard to grasp and understand.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. For me, yes, I agree with you. And just to add on to that, for me, the other doubt happened when you actually touch base again. So there was like a moment of a lapse of 4 years where Talia talks about this moment where she was alone without me, yada yada. And there were some grievance happening in that way, and we reached out, but it was never like, hey, let's sit down and talk. It was more like, hey, how you doing? Hope you're good. Sorry for your loss, period. Bye. So it was very like transactional, until one day Tal was in her feels and she decided to write me an essay. Don't say no. Say what it is.
I did.
You professed your love for me.
Oh my God. Oigan a esta.
You were right. It's fine. You professed your love to me, and just in general of such a heartwarming message that really like rattled my cage. I can't tell
Did
you.
it really?
I mean, my husband will not admit this, but I was literally trembling. I saw your name pop up. I'm never going to forget this. I was laying down watching TV with Pabs, and I was like, I just see her name come up, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, for some reason, the other messages that we had didn't strike me as unusual, but that one did.
That one did.
Like, I knew that when I opened it, it was game time. Like, the moment had to happen where we had to have a talk. And for obvious reasons, we didn't know how to have this talk, right? So here we are meeting again at like 29. You were about to turn 30.
Yeah.
We met at 29 again because it was 4 years. And I was like, am I ready for this? What is going to happen? I feel like I just started dating her again. Like, I didn't know what to expect. And it was
nervous,
really, bitch, you got me nervous.
I got you nervous.
For the first time. I'm a confident boo. I'm confident, but your ass got me nervous.
That's all right. I like that I rattled your cage.
I'm never going to repeat that again. But you know, I was
nervous too.
I was really struck by it, and I was just like, "Whoa! Like, what is this?" And again, not that it's just unusual because, like, what is a text message? But you know, that was a moment where I was like, "What is gonna happen?" Like, I know something major is gonna happen, and I had like a presentimiento. I had like a feeling of this is different. So let me not open it. I didn't open it for like a good 5 minutes. I remember. I'm like, Pablo's like, are you going to open it? And he was like, who is that? And I'm like, it's Talia. He's like, wait, Talia? The Talia? I'm like, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm never going to forget. And then he's like, well, are you going to open it? And I'm like, no. I'm just going to
completely fucking leaves me.
I left it there for maybe about I say 5 minutes, but it's more like a minute. Like, it wasn't 5 minutes at all because I también me comía las ansias, right? I was super anxious about what was this. She could send me another hate message, if you will, but I really didn't know. And then I opened it and was pleasantly surprised of the thoughtful message that she sent me. One that I actually will never forget. But it was just really so heartfelt, right? Like, you were like, listen, we're both 29. Time has passed. Let's forgive each other. I feel like that was the theme. Stop. You're about to fucking cry.
Bitch, it's allergies, okay?
It's not allergies.
It's allergies.
It's not
I'm
allergies.
allergic to pollen.
You're allergic to feelings. Ah!
Wait.
Espérate. No, you know, it was...
Bitch.
It was a little
You
bit...
fucking activated it. My fucking eye is tearing.
Listen, happy tears. Happy tears for your bestie. It should always be for your bestie. ¿Sí o no?
Sí.
Okay. Period.
Always happy tears.
Period.
Fucking llorando
Anyway.
por mierda.
So, you know, it was really a heartfelt message, and I honestly was so taken aback by it, but also I received it in the way that it came through. Like, a lot of times I feel like I would just kind of 86 or like just ditch text messages, but for some reason her long essay was
that's unusual.
That is unusual in you, correct? But your long essay was really heartfelt, and I think it was also received in that way. And one, I don't really know how this happened, but point is, we decided to meet up on Zoom because it was already pandemic times. And I had moved to Jersey, and I was like, I wonder if she knows that I moved. Like, I just started speculating, and all this doubt came in of like, what am I doing? How are we supposed to talk? What should I say? Is she gonna be the same bitch as last time? Is she gonna grow? Like, I wonder, because I didn't know. Like, we just hadn't ever crossed paths with each other, and I think that was also kind of weird.
And like our social media wasn't like, I don't know, like I couldn't find any information.
Cause you blocked me, bitch.
I unblocked you.
Well, I don't know. I just remember her blocking me from all media.
I blocked you from number. I didn't block you on social.
You blocked me on social because I couldn't find you anymore.
I did. I don't remember.
Listen, it is what it is. I mean, you have all the right to block someone if they did, like, just exit you from their life.
That's true.
Sure. If you get exiled, like, bye. And, I understood it. I accepted it. And I'm like, this is the consequence of my actions. So don't be fucking scared. Don't be surprised that this is happening because it was expected. And rightfully so, right? I feel like I would do the same. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Validation. So when we decided to meet up, I was like just scared shit. I'm like, Pablo, make me a fucking drink, please. Like, I need a cocktail. And I remember this was in Pablo's pandemic cocktail making era, which I think we spoke about a little bit in season 1. He started kind of crafting cocktails for me, and I would have like all these Zoom happy hours with my buddies. Actually, it started with Jose, who we had on season 1. And that's kind of how we got to know each other. So that was like the new happy hour norm, right? Just happy hour with friends. And I'm like, Pabs, pass over the cocktail. I need something with whiskey because it needs to be strong because this conversation is going to fuck me up. It's going to fuck me up mentally. It's going to fuck me up physically. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to fuck me up. And he was just like, well, what's going on? And I'm like, don't worry. Just close the door, get me my drink, and that's it. And he did. He followed pursuit.
Good man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
5 hours later.
Was it 5 hours?
It was a 5-hour conversation.
That's normal in us, but...
That is normal.
That might have been the longest reconciliation.
It was.
Ever.
It was a lot of high. There was a lot of crying.
Yeah, there was a lot of
laughing. Reminiscing.
To my point, I think that was like the first time we were brutally honest and raw.
We had to be.
With each other.
It was the only way to move forward. And that's, it wasn't easy to have that conversation either. It was a relief.
Yeah.
But if you are true friends like you say you are.
Which we are.
Which we absolutely, definitely are. You're going to have these conversations.
Yeah, they're inevitable.
Fucking no, it's not fun. But you need to be absolutely honest with each other. And that's the thing. When I found out a lot of things that I did in the past that hurt her, that hurt me. Because that's hurting my other half. So for me, I need to get that checked out. Like, I really had to check myself. It's like, well, that's fucked up what you said. And I had other friends that actually, when I told them roughly what went down, they also agreed. So you need to have friends that check you. But you also need to check yourself to see if you're really hurting your other friend. Or the other, the people that you love and respect. And so that conversation, as much as it did hurt a little bit just to hear a lot of the things, I have to acknowledge it. Mm-hmm. I have to acknowledge it and be like, all right, I understood. But did I understand the entire thing? Not necessarily. I understand that I did that and I could have easily apologized. But again, I understand her point of view for just wanting to back away. But regardless, the good thing about it is that conversation, we both admit our wrongs.
Yeah.
We own up to it. You have to own up to your own actions. And if that was not acknowledged, there was no way of moving forward on either side.
And I think we just wouldn't have been the same friends again.
Absolutely not.
And I don't think we're the same friends. I think there'll always be like that child, Tal, and Karen.
A lot of people
we're
see
just
it, though.
We're just brand new. What have people been saying? I don't know. I've never
No,
feedback.
but a lot of people have seen that, though, between us. I mean, like, from my friendship, we're fucking stupid. Like, not for nothing. Like, think about it.
There's too much, like, memories.
It's just stupid shit.
Yeah.
But it's fun things. And I want to be that playful person when I am with Karen.
Yeah.
We could say the dumbest thing. We could start karaokeing out in the middle of nowhere in the store.
We just serenaded Oscar in the background.
Welcome
Oscar,
to the team, Oscar. But
we'll talk about Oscar soon.
So No, but seriously, like, I don't know. We're just very playful and fun, and at the same time, we don't take a lot of shit serious. But when it's time to take serious, we do.
Yeah, I agree. I think ever since we kind of got back together, we're the same, but a little bit different.
Yeah.
We're the same in that we still have the same riz. I'm in with the new slang. We still have the same riz, the same charisma. Like, we're playful, we joke around, and we know what the limit is, right? So I think that's the new phase in us. Like, I know that once I don't see a specific emoji on your text message, I got to cut it, right? It actually happened yesterday. So I was just like, it is what it is. And I'll test the waters, as will she. And then I'm like, no, ho. Like, this is not happening. This is not good for me. I didn't like that you did this, or I just simply cut it off. And she kind of knows that now. So it really has helped us deliberate the issues and just like move on.
Well, that's just respectful boundaries.
Yeah, now I feel like we're respectful.
We have to be respectful. And things...
Respect a hoe.
For sure. But... And this comes with every phase of our lives. We're talking about 27 and counting of years of friendship. And I'm including the 4 years that we've been separated, because at the end of the day, she was even a friend to me, believe it or not, in distance, especially when I had a couple of deaths in my family. She reached out. She didn't have to. But that just shows her morals, shows her characteristics. And at the end of the day, that also showed how much love she has for me. Still, for even wanting to send that long essay.
I'm the essay queen.
She's
I'm just going to say
queen.
that.
But
let's just
that's
talk
respect,
about that.
though.
Yeah.
But think about it. That is respect.
It's love.
It's love
it's
and
love
respect.
Even from afar.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and even though we're not speaking and we're not in each other's life at the moment, there is love and respect. And that is something that I remember. And I remember even saying it with my mother. I was like, she's going to text. I don't know how she's going to find out. I don't know how she's going to figure it out, but she will. And call me witch. But I just knew
Tal
because
has
I
little
know
gypsy
her.
moments.
I really do. I have a lot of those. But I know Karen, and I know how she is, and I know her morals and how she's pretty much built as a person, that I already knew what she was going to do. And this is one of the major things I love and respect her in a friendship, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people that I have met that are nowhere near like that. Even people that were in my life at that moment that didn't even bother to come to the funeral. And those are moments that you just like, the fuck? And you're a friend? Yeah. And you choose not to be there when I'm in the mud? Good to know. But then I have somebody that literally walked out of my life but still sends me love from afar. And as much as it stings, at the end of the day, at least they kept me in their prayers.
Oh my God, can we talk about that? Where did you get the text message? I just love hearing this story.
Where I got the message?
So here's what happened. Let me just give you the background, and then I'll pass the mic over to Tal.
That's how true it is.
I actually had looked at, for some reason, I was still friends with your cousin. I think it was on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Somehow, some way, I was still linked to your cousin. And she had posted something about your grandfather. Your grandfather was really one I really knew about. I didn't know about your other family member. But when I heard that your grandfather had passed away, I was actually preparing to host a big family party. And I was like, shit, the funeral is the same fucking day. And I'm like, oh. And I remember telling Pabs, and I'm like, listen, I may just need to escape for a little bit, and I may not be back. I need you to hold down the fort, because Pabs was doing photography for that event. Pabs is also an amateur photographer. Never amateur yet. I mean, anymore. He's now a pro. Also does like portraiture. So anyway, but it happened to land on the same day, and I was just like, I can't move through life without at least letting you know that I know about this loss and that I share my sympathy. Like, that was a no-brainer. Specifically because I knew her grandfather extensively for the many years that we've been friends, right? And he hugged me with all the love that he hugged you. So just for that, I think my plan was to show up, but I wasn't prepared for that. It couldn't have been that way. If her and I would have seen each other before, I would have showed up. But I wasn't gonna just show up at this grieving event to be like, hey.
Right. No,
That would have been an overwhelming feeling for me and I think for you. Like it was just not the right moment for us to see each other.
I agree with you. It would have been like a telenovela though.
Yeah.
You would have you stand by the door
Just
and walked in all
hair
in black.
Yeah.
And then
Like the Black Widow?
Yeah.
Just with the fucking
And then I would have been in the chair.
You know?
Oh, good.
With glasses on.
Of course,
because your
glasses
your bougie ass self would walk in
no
with
one
shades
needs to
to
see
the
my
church.
fucking eyes water.
So, you know, it wasn't just the right time. And I think previous to that, once I learned about it, I'm like, damn, how am I supposed to say this? When am I don't even know if she has my number at this point because Tal was never good with phone numbers. Arguably still isn't. And I'm like, I don't even know if she still lives where she lives. Like 4 years had gone by. So I'm like, I don't know. And like I said a moment ago, we never crossed paths either. Like we never found each other on the street. I never found your mom.
That's crazy.
We never crossed paths. And I'm like, I'm kind of happy that we didn't because
it would have been awkward.
it would have been so awkward. I'd been like, hey,
Hi.
bye.
No, yeah.
That's
like,
it.
This bitch.
This fucking bitch. Like, you know, it just wouldn't have been the right move. And I was like, you know, I can't show up because I have this other commitment, but I also don't think it's the right time. Anyway.
You were right, though.
Cue you. So you received this message. Do you remember what day it was? Like what day of the week?
I believe it's definitely a weekday.
Give me the scenario. Play by play what happened.
I gotta say it would have to be like either right before lunch. And I was at work. And I just remember seeing your name and I hyperventilated. Like I completely started having a panic attack. And I remember going into a conference room just to like hide and just
But why did you have a panic attack? Because you saw that
I saw your name in it.
And that produced a panic
A
attack?
little bit, because I'm just like, oh, shit. That means she's going to write something, and I'm going to cry. And then at the same time, I'm at work. I don't want them to see me cry. I'm trying to kind of hold the fort over here. Like, I'm just trying. It didn't even, for fuck what? Because when I went to the conference room, conference room is all glass. So everybody was watching me still. So I'm just like this. I was like, there's no curtain. The fuck? Like, it just couldn't.
Just look outside.
Yeah, I was just like, I had to just turn away because everybody was still like in their cubbies, but the cubbies were like face the conference room, and they're all watching me.
Why the fuck are Manhattan offices
like that?
that?
It was a small office. I'm like, there's no one decides to get a curtain.
That made me laugh.
And I just remember that I was just in there. I'm like, oh God, this is gonna make me cry. I was just like, oh my God, my anxiety was just going high. Because this bitch knows how to make
a bitch
cry. And then I just already know, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to take my entire lunch because I'm going to have to read everything. Because she knows how to write a book, not an essay.
One day I will write a memoir.
You should, actually. But I just remember I needed a moment to just be alone.
And you didn't think about going to the bathroom?
No, because the bathroom is crowded. There's always bitches there. So I didn't really have a moment.
I would have just gone into a stall, pretended like I'm taking a shit, and then read the message. Like
I didn't want to hear like in the middle, somebody's like, is everything okay? Like I could just see,
you need
like,
a tamp?
Yeah, I was just like, and then they knock on the door. Is everything? Are you okay in there? Do you need help?
That's fucking hilarious.
No, I didn't want no social contact.
Not to me, in that I'm the crier, in that I see the crying happen.
Fuck? Yo, I can't. That was just something I was like in my head.
Honey,
I was like,
you're right.
Do you need something?
It's just the soft tap.
That's my favorite. Bitch, I see that you're on the other side. I see your feet.
The
fuck? Like, stop it. And thank you, but no. I need a moment.
Anyway, so you're in the conference room, glass walls, large conference table. Do you sit? Do you stand? Like,
I actually faced the wall because I didn't want to be looked by the windows. So it was not the windows, the fucking glass. And then you see everybody walking by and they always have to look in. Oh, that would have annoyed me. And at that moment, I didn't want any social contact because I was just like, I need to read this in peace without anybody bothering me. And of course, for fuck what, I'm there sitting reading it, tearing up. And then I hear, I was like, we need to use the conference room. Just like, I was like, one moment. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Right now? Like, yeah, right now.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. I'm just like, okay. Is everything okay? Everything is super. Give me a moment. Let me get out. Thank you so much.
That's so embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. I literally had to go outside and get Dunkin' Donuts in order for me to read it.
And weep with a donut in hand.
Weep it off. And I was just like, all right. I just remembered. I had to go outside because clearly there was no privacy in the office. And so I had to find another way.
That's fucking hysterical.
And then I just remember rereading it twice. And then I was just like, you know what? At the end of the day, it made me cry. But in my head, I was like, she pulled through. So
were you waiting for that message?
I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when.
Were you waiting for it? Or did you want that message?
I did want that message.
Okay, I delivered. That's all
I manifested it.
Yeah, that could be too.
Because I remember saying it because my mom asked me right before the funeral because you actually sent it to me after the funeral. Mm-hmm. And I remember my mom.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know when things were happening.
No, I know, of course. Mm-hmm. But I just remember, I remember my mom asking me before. And she's like, do you ever think she'll reach out? And I was like, if I know Karen the way I know Karen, she is. I don't know when. I don't know when or how. She's going to reach out.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
And within a couple of days, you did.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, was I always referred to as she? Is she calling? You know when you get to like a period where you don't want to mention someone's name?
My mother really.
What is it with her?
You know what's funny? Like when my mom, she never really thought this would break. So she's always been like, okay, it's been a year. Okay, it's been 2. Nothing. So just like, no, she's living her life. I'm living mine. Mm-hmm. I think that's where my mom, and I think a lot of people saw me grow in the family.
Yeah. So
I think those times, again, everything happens for a reason, and this is one of those reasons.
Yeah.
So my mom, we always referred you as she. Yeah. So I was like, did she call? No. She didn't.
You know what's funny? When you go through breakups in general, like relationship breakups, you always refer to your partner as
don't we
he or
have a
she.
name?
Yeah. Yeah. You know? Or you put a nickname, right? But most commonly you're like, did he call you? Has he texted you? Has she texted you? It's always like the pronoun. Yeah. Like the name becomes null.
Yes.
My name becomes null, and therefore I start to become a pronoun. It's crazy to me. And that's like your natural reaction, right?
It's a natural reaction. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just become a thing. I don't know, like garbage.
Basu. Yeah, you know, I couldn't find it in my heart not to do that. I think I felt like I owed you that much to be like, I'm here with you, and I know your duelo. I know you're suffering, and I just want you to know that I know and that I'm here for you.
Which, to be honest, it's kind of what all I needed.
Yeah.
I needed that. I think that's something that just shows what an amazing person you are.
Oh, thanks.
And just to show me, I'm like, there was love. And you need people like that in your life. Yeah. I think there are times... And the people at the moment that was around me...
They didn't fucking show up.
They didn't show up.
Well, one.
One didn't. But it was still bad because that was supposed to be the next good best friend. And she was for a while, but I really remember letting that slide. And that always bothered me. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and then time and time again... Still not another funeral wasn't able to go. Like it was just another and then another. I was like, all right, you know what? You don't cut out for this.
How did you feel after we had our big like reconciliation conversation?
I felt relieved.
Me too. It felt like relieved. A huge weight was lifted.
Massive.
Like I've been carrying like a shit of bricks.
Yeah.
For years, and I'm like, like I literally sighed. And I remember Pabs told me that at the time I was living with my mom, and he often recalls this moment where like my mom that day, whatever day that we were talking, that he was like, your mom just came in and she's like, where's Karen? And he's like, she's in the room talking to Talia. She's like, Talia? Like, what? You know? And he was like, yeah, they've been in there for hours. She's like, wow. And I just remember, like, my mom never asked me anything. She kind of just let it happen. My mom is always very inquisitive about things that happen in my life for obvious reasons, but she didn't ask me. And I remember she was just like, so you had a good talk? And I'm like, mm-hmm. And that was it. Like, it was just an acknowledgement of things are good.
So different from me
Yeah,
and my mother.
Crazy. Me and my mom show each other tough love. My mom shows me a lot of tough love.
She does.
Mm-hmm. So it was more of, you're good, you're fine, great. We're now happy. Let's get back to the old Karen.
Yeah.
You know? And things were different for a while. Like, we never really talked every day.
It took a minute.
Yeah, it took like a good year or so.
You know, we were pretty much slowly
getting to know each other again.
Yeah. And it's okay. We were dating.
But so y'all saw that eye roll. Mm-hmm. I wasn't just dating Pabs. I was dating you again. I was a player.
Yeah, basically. You were toying with the both of us. But anyway, no.
Funny that y'all are exactly the same. Let me just say that. I literally married her, just in male version. In many ways. So, LOL.
Yeah. But I think it's just, I mean, now you have another Talia in your life. In the form of a P. It's your karma.
I know it is my karma. It's fine.
But I think it was just a good thing we had to go through. And
I actually liked it. I liked the time that we were dating again.
Yeah.
And me, yes. Because it really allowed us to have our own space, but still talk and chat. And actually, this ended up happening to me with someone else very near and dear. And we're in that dating phase again. We're like, we hang out once, we don't know, but then we chime in and click again. So it's okay to redate your friends, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's different phases, and sometimes we need to be apart, sometimes we need to be together, sometimes we just need to be alone.
And where do you see this friendship going? That's a toughie, but where do you see this friendship going?
Well, I think we should always learn from our past mistakes.
Yeah. And
the things we've done before, which is not communicate, not talk, is something we should not do forward. And now that I feel like we got that down pat, I feel like we're stronger than ever. I mean, shit, we just got into business together. And that's even a major commitment. But again, I wouldn't do it with anyone else, right? So I think there's a lot of great opportunities and a lot of things that we can do together that I'm personally excited about. Just taking on this adventure alone, just doing a podcast with me, was major for you. Mm-hmm. You know, for me to get you to agree... It took a minute.
I'm a super procrastinator. This is a minute.
Yeah. It took a minute. But at the same time, I'm just like, either be on board or not.
Yeah, and tackling back to the theme of tonight's episode, I'd say just like a song, every season of your friendship is like a new verse, right? Or a new chorus. But really, it's about you maintaining that song alive, right? It's the one thing that we always come back to, and she may get me pissed and I may get her really irritated, and we'll blow off the steam somewhere else, take a walk, maybe not talk for a little bit, and then we come back, and once we're good, we come back to the main friendship vibe that we always carry. And I think that's honestly really nice. I don't know. I don't really have that with anybody else. And I think I acknowledge when you're pissed, you acknowledge when I'm pissed, and we kind of know each other's like thresholds to that degree, right? And it's very difficult to like forgive people so easily. It's not an easy thing, right?
No,
and I think you and I, for the betterment of our friendship, have really learned to forgive each other on a daily basis. Like, she may get mad that I don't call her today and be pissed. And then she'll call me tomorrow at 8. Like, we reset the clock all the time because we are really just like, listen, you may have a bad day. I may have a bad day. We may both be having bad days on the same day. And it, like, sucks, but oh well.
But,
let me breathe.
Absolutely. And it's okay to accept that. I think at the same time, you know when a friendship is actually worth it.
Yeah.
And
True that.
this friendship is worth it. As there's a lot more highs than lows. And you need to sit there and make a pros and cons list about your friendships and about
Oh
who's
my God.
truly there
It's
for
my
you.
favorite thing to do.
Then fucking do it, because you need to know if you're putting your energy in the right person.
You know what that reminds me of?
What?
The movie Sex and the City.
Yes.
When Miranda makes her pros
Yes,
and cons
that's
of her
exactly
of her
what
and
it
her
is.
husband's relationship.
But it's smart.
No, I do
It's
that all the
fucking
time.
smart.
But I do it mentally. I'm like, is this hoe good for me? 1, 2, 3, yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, no. And sometimes we talk it out, and you've been a consistent yes.
Stop it. Fucking know that.
You've been a consistent yes. Until you become a no, you've only been a no once.
That one time?
That one time.
Okay.
It only takes one time. But you know, truth be told,
That's not bad.
you need someone to weather the storm with you. And I think that's like
and
our one
willing
advice.
to weather the storm with you.
Yes, I think that's like our one major advice of like always try, and as ironic and as sentimental as this sounds, try and always find your way back to your friends. The people who really know you, like Tal knows me. There's no one who's going to know me like Tal. I think no one's going to know you in the way that I do. And I think we know that we'll be life friends. There will be times where we're not vibing on the same frequency, and
It's okay.
and now I feel like we learned that that's okay. If you need space, then you need space, and when you're ready, you'll come back. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And actually, it happened this past winter where I was like MIA for a whole month because I was going through some shit, and she was like, I knew you were gonna call me whenever you were ready to talk about it, and that's fine, right? Like, listen, I was going through shit and I needed like some time out. And she graciously was like, yeah, I know. I wish you could have just called me, but I understand as an adult, you need to handle your business your own way. So weathering through that storm or through weathering through all seasons of life, I think is so important. And it's actually really gratifying because I know that I could count on you. Even though I know that already,
Exactly.
it's like a reaffirmation every time.
Exactly.
And that's like the one thing that I appreciate the most.
I agree, because I feel the exact same way.
Mm-hmm.
And even though many people say, I don't need to reaffirm. No, you do. You need to confirm and reconfirm that that you got each other, that you're always going to be there in the lows as well as in the highs.
It's like signing a new lease.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I already know who I want to sign the lease with.
I'm be your forever landlord.
Exactly. But
Or
that's
we'll
the
be
thing.
roommates.
That's what I'm saying. Like, give everybody a temporary season. You really need to feel somebody out
Yeah.
and see how far they can go.
And maybe we'll talk about the vetting process of how you vet a friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's its own episode. But
Yeah.
I think for now, what we can say is that we're grateful that we were able to break up and come back together.
Thank God, yeah.
I think we're grateful for who we are as adults in
Yeah.
our early 30s and how we are as friends. Like, the friend part really has come into its own, and I think it's so transparent with everyone. Like, everyone knows that without me, there's no Talia. Without Talia, there's no me. So everyone kind of already knows that, and even your friends, when I saw them, they were like, bitch, where have you been? You know, like, where have you been all this time? I'm so happy to see you. And that was actually one of the things that I was most worried about, because your friends hold you real close to the chest.
And they've been there for me. Even though they're very distant, they always
Yeah.
showed up.
I was like,
Always show
damn,
up.
I don't know what's going to happen, but fuck it, I'll take the punch, you know, whatever. And they were like, where the fuck have you been? It's so nice to see you. And that's how you can tell the kind of friends or the caliber of friends that she has, right? In the same way that my mom was just so like heartwarming to you. Hey, it was really fucking great to see you.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
which was surprising because she's like my mom, whatever, she'll defend
I know,
me.
for sure.
And she's a pretty strong woman. So that in itself was a high moment.
My God,
My dad loves you. So like
remember.
my dad is like, yeah, Talia, you're talking again? Okay, great.
My
Let me
dad
know-
too. My
let
dad
me
was
know
the
if I
same
can
way.
pick her up. You know, like whatever. But moms really play it close to the chest. And even your mom, I mean, I'm never going to forget, and I told you this before we go, I'll say it again. Your mom had a moment with me and Pablo the day that we got married at the reception, and Tal was like drinking her life away before she had to deliver the speech. And she was with the gents and all. getting ready for her moment. And I remember your mom came up to me, and I'll say this publicly, and I hope that she doesn't judge me for this. So, Mari, if you're watching, love you. She was just like, thank you for loving my daughter the way you do. I literally almost like peed on myself of how much she meant it so heartfelt. And I was like, you have nothing to thank me for. You have nothing to thank me for. I love your daughter unconditionally.
You do.
I'm serious.
No,
I'm
you
serious.
told me about that moment. It always makes me like tear up because I just like
I
can see my
cried.
mom.
I don't cry
up
that
to her.
easily, and I fucking cried. And I think even Pabs got a little
The bitch
teary-eyed.
cries.
I cry, but only in like movies and stuff. I cry all the time.
So what? I'm the crybaby.
You are. You cry for everything.
That's true.
Okay.
I'm an emotional fan.
Anyway, let's close this out. It was great to see y'all again. Follow us on all of our media, Apple Pod, Spotify, YouTube. Hit the subscribe button to get more content. We release our episodes every Tuesday. So just tune in. I hope that you've enjoyed this journey. And
Thank you for watching, and thank you for hearing us. And we'll see you next week.
go be best friends with the people who you know.
Yes.
We love you all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.